Well, welcome everyone. We'd like to go ahead and get started. Assemblymember Rodriguez, looks like you're up first. Welcome. We'll start as a subcommittee.
We need one more.
Yes, okay. Welcome. This is AB 2809. Welcome.
Thank you, Chairperson Bonilla and members. First, I'd like to start off by accepting the committee's proposed amendments and thank the committee staff for working closely with my office in helping shape the bill. AB 2809 addresses inequalities in access to care, treatment, and services primarily for children with developmental disabilities, whose families are limited English speakers and minorities within our regional center system. As you may recall, in late 2011, the LA Times found stark developmental service funding disparities based on race, ethnicity, language, and socioeconomics. Across the board, Latinos and African Americans continue to be underrepresented or are more likely to receive no developmental services. Sadly, parents and caregivers with little time and resources continue to receive significantly less, resulting in enormous racial and socioeconomic disparities. At the San Gabriel Pomona Regional Center, which is based in my district, over 30% of the consumer population speaks in a primary language other than English. AB 2809 takes steps to ensure our state's limited English speakers and minority groups have the right type of information and obtain exemptions. Additionally, the bill would require regional centers to provide an annual statement of services its consumers have received in required languages. And for struggling families, my bill requires the individual program planning team to consider hardships which result in barriers for children accessing these critical services. With me today to testify in support is Brian Carpa, Senior Staff Attorney with the Public Counsel, Emily Taylor, Director of Policy and Advocacy with the Special Needs Network.
Thank you. We're just going to pause before we continue with testimony to take roll so that we establish a quorum.
Bonilla.
Here.
Grove. Here. Calderon. Lopez. Here. Mainstein. Stone. Here. Thurmond. We have a
Thank you so much. So we will go ahead and in support of the bill. Yes.
Care
yes.
for testimony as well?
Yes. Yeah. No, yes. I would love to have testimony.
Good afternoon, Chair Bonilla, Vice Chair Grove, and members of the Assembly Committee on Human Services. My name is Brian Capra. I am a senior staff attorney at the Children's Rights Project in Public Counsel in Los Angeles. I work primarily with what's called dual agency children, children who are regional center but are also court involved in the dependency and juvenile justice systems or in out-of-home care and a probate guardianship. Public Counsel is proud to co-sponsor AB 2809, which will improve children's access to developmental services by giving information to non-English speaking parents in a language that the parents can understand so they can better participate in the service planning for their children. AB 2809 will also give more children access to behavioral intervention services. These services are urgently needed for children with autism and other disabilities that affect social interaction. This would prevent escalating behavior problems that can lead to out-of-home placement, school discipline issues, and juvenile justice system involvement. Current law allows regional centers to deny behavioral intervention services to children whose parents cannot meet demanding requirements to attend group orientation classes, treatment team meetings, and purchasing reward items for their children for good behavior. Public Counsel and Special Needs Network strongly believe that parent participation requirements should be more flexible and children should not be deprived of necessary services simply because of their family services. I have worked closely with Los Angeles County Children and Family Services and the Los Angeles County Probation Department over the past 6 years since this law was enacted to require these parent participation requirements. At any given time, there are over 40 to 50 youth that are housed, that are detained in our juvenile hall system in LA County, and there are hundreds more kids that are in group home placements in dependency and delinquency. It is frustrating to think that many of these youth could have been diverted from those systems and living successfully at home with their families had they received the timely behavioral intervention services. Special Needs Network has brought a couple families to share their stories of struggle for you to hear, so I will yield the rest of my time. We urge your aye vote on AB 2809. Thank you.
Thank you very much. No, we have a motion and the second. Yes, okay, in support.
Hi, my name is Emily Taylor. I'm the Director of Policy and Advocacy for Special Needs Network, and I could describe the situations of hundreds of families that I've worked with and represented that have been affected by the provisions that we're discussing here today as part of AB 2809. But instead, I'd much rather have these families who traveled here from Los Angeles talk to you directly. So I'd like to introduce, with the permission of the committee, Vena Thiero and Judy Maldano.
Okay, thank you.
Hello, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. Assemblywoman Bonilla, we met several years ago when I was here, and I also serve on the Autism Task Force, which is led by Assemblywoman Patty Lopez.
I remember that.
I'm a single mom of 2 children diagnosed with autism. Right now, they're 17 and 19 years old. So first, I want to let you know regarding the annual statement of services, I didn't know there was a thing called ABA therapy. I had a kid who was nonverbal who was driving us nuts. And when you hear behavioral services, it sounds like something nice that you get clinically prescribed, but it wears we parents out. I had this young guy bouncing off the walls. He would have tantrums that we would just leave him in his room and wait for it to end. It wasn't until I ventured out, and we don't venture out when we're going through this. We parents isolate ourselves. We don't know who to turn to. So eventually, somehow, someone got to me, and I was able to hear about something called ABA therapy. Mind you, I was a regional center client, and I had a caseworker, but that type of information was not readily presented to me. So I urge you to consider this, which I believe you will, for the annual statement of services at the beginning of every IIP meeting. In addition to that, regarding parent participation before receiving ABA therapy, right now it's so difficult for parents to actually attend these. It's 8 hours. Years ago, they had 8 hours in one day. Maybe you could sacrifice a day. Well, my son had it when he was younger, and then when he became a teenager, the behaviors came back, and they were much different. He was bigger. He was stronger, and I'm the kind of parent who said, I'm going to stay in shape. I can catch him. I can handle this. I'm going to be ready. Well, I didn't realize that he had gotten so big over a period of year. My muscles have been ripped from me trying to wrangle him and keep him in line. I didn't know that eventually I'd have a big public display and be abused physically. I didn't know that that would lead to him being in a group home. Now, this is the thing. I was given, at the time that I said I need behaviors, I was given a list of 30 agencies. I had to go through all these 30 agencies and call them. Do you know how long it takes to get through all those agencies, that list, and find somebody who actually has services for a parent like me midweek? That took forever. It was over 8 months before I could actually even get in parent training. So I want you to understand it's the urgency of getting these services to the kids, the urgency. Because if a parent knows her kid needs it, that kid needs it. And that kid doesn't need it tomorrow or next month or next year. They need it yesterday. So it has to happen as fast as possible. And I have a master's in communication. I went through the training. You could not quiz me today and me get 50% correct. I get it. But the real training happens when the experts come into the home and the parents are there learning on hand with their child. So now I take my situation and I see how tough it is for me. And I have lots of friends whose native language is not English. So this information has to be available to all other parents like myself in their threshold language. I mean, they need to know exactly what they can have in terms of the services. They also need to know the complaints and appeals process in their threshold language. And they need to know what are the exemptions. There are services that we could have that we don't know about even because they're not even listed in the annual statement of services. There are services that are exempted from that list, and they're on another list of exemptions, things that are most valuable. For example, recreation. We have kids that if they don't get that physical activity or interaction with animals like horses, or now they have the surfing and all of these types of therapies that are really proving effective for kids with behaviors. They need this. And I just want you to consider, as Brian has mentioned, the long-term effects. We got to get it to them sooner. The idea is to mature them.
Right.
Get them to a place where they can behave maturely. We do that with our other kids. And what is the alternative? I mean, we don't want them, as he's mentioned, in the penal system, because we know the numbers right now. We're looking at 1.5 million right now, and they're still growing. It's an exponential growth at this point. So what do you plan on doing if we don't handle it early? We do not want to live with, special needs prisons just because people don't know how to handle the behaviors that will come when they are 50, 30, maybe even 70.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Our next witness.
Hi, good afternoon. My name is Judy Maldonado. I brought a picture of my son. Sorry, it's really small. But his name is Mario. He's only 8 years old. But I'm here to thank you foremost for giving your time to listen to us. I want to thank my representative, who is unfortunately not here, Ian Calderon. I was hoping to see him today, but I would like your help with this bill. It really boils down to preventing what we are already seeing with the statistics of children with special needs who are already incarcerated. I see the picture of my son, who is now 8 years old, who has behavior problems. He's defiant, mostly because he can't communicate. He needs a communication device. And it really breaks my heart to think that because he couldn't get ABA services, when I asked my regional center to please provide it, it really does break my heart to think that he will have behaviors when he's a teenager that could get him incarcerated. Right now, the LA County spends more than $233,000 a year to hold a child, a youth, incarcerated. That's money that the state can save, and that's only going to double if he becomes part of that. So I'm asking for your understanding as to why this is needed right now, to prevent my child to be a burden to California's financial crisis already. That's already happening right now. When I think of behavioral services and teaching him how to be part of society, I can only think of him being an adult who can be a taxpayer citizen, teaching him how to navigate community, hold a job, graduate college. That's my child. That's the child that I want to think about. And I think together we can make that happen. I think together, because I'm a firm believer that it takes a village to raise a child, and I am his mother, but we need you. We need your support. We need your understanding.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Others in support? State your name and organization. Thank you.
Hi, I'm Jacqueline Zanowski, and I'm from Disability Rights California, and we wanted to come here today and say that we support the bill.
Thank you.
Hi, Susan Abrams with Children's Law Center. We represent the children in the dependency court system in Los Angeles and Sacramento counties, many of whom are also regional center clients, and we are in support.
Thank you. Melissa Cortez Roth on behalf of the Center for Autism and Related Disorders in support.
Thank you. Anyone speaking in opposition? If you'd like, you can come up to the table.
Okay.
Welcome.
Thank you. Madam Chair and members, Rick Rollins, representing ARCA, Association of Regional Center Agencies. We have on file with you a letter in opposition, but with the amendments today, which I think takes the bill in a much better position and for us, if the bill is approved today by the committee, we will continue to be working with the author and the sponsors on the bill.
Very good. Thank you. Anyone else in opposition? Seeing none, any questions from committee members? Yes, Ms. Grove.
I don't so much have a question. I have a comment or a testimony. Christy Porter in our district runs the Jasmine Nairi Center for Behavioral Services for Youth because her daughter has behavioral services or has behavioral issues, and not very many people understand what behavioral issues is. So I very much sympathize with what you shared. When I toured the facility, Christy put several $1 million of her own money in to start this facility so that we had the ability to have services within our community and not have to go to Fresno or Los Angeles because we're in the Central Valley. Not every community has somebody who's going to do that, so it is good that the state is going to participate where communities to help benefit some of these communities. Touring that facility, I met several individuals, including a parent who is dealing with a similar situation as you testified. She had a son that she showed us pictures of her house, and it was holes in the walls and broken windows and boarded up windows and damaged like beyond relief. And then how they repaired them and then damaged beyond relief. And then they said, "Are you ready to meet him?" And I'm like, "No, no, honestly, no, I'm not." Right? I saw the house. And we walked into the room, and he's a very good artist, and he loves to draw. And he draws, and he gave me a photograph, and this young man now sits at the dinner table. He's still nonverbal, very non-communicative, but he loves to draw, and he does sit at the dinner table. And it changed that mother's life because I think it was 9 months from the time that he started the behavioral system with the Jasmine Nairi Center that he hadn't had one outburst and not one damaged wall, and she's starting to get her house repaired. So I get it. I apologize that it was something that was overlooked by the state. I don't think the answer is just throwing money at stuff. I'm just not that type of person. I think you need to have results, and I think they need to be good results, and I think the best results come in the private sector and people who deal with the situation on a daily basis better than government. But I know we have to start there, so I just appreciate you being here and listening to your testimony.
Thank you. Yes, Ms. Lopez.
First of all, I just want to say thank you to Assemblymember Rodriguez and bring this issue to us. As a parent with kids with special needs, I totally understand. I totally support, and I'm so honored and blessed to have one of my constituents here testifying. We're looking to improve the quality of life for all those kids. Thank you.
Thank you. Yes, and thank you for bringing the bill. I would just say I hope you can stop by Assemblymember Calderon's office and speak to his staff. And I'm sure, in another hearing, just like I'm supposed to be also right now sitting in health. So we're just double booked all the time. But thank you both for traveling up to give your testimony today. And I remember the meeting that we had probably a couple years ago, and think that this bill really is helpful, and it's so I think a great example of unintended negative consequence when we talk about everyone wants parental engagement and parental involvement, and then it became an obstacle. So giving flexibility, I think, is so important, along with all the translation of very important documents, and the notification and information is critical. So we do have a motion and a second. It's due pass as amended to the Appropriations Committee, and we will go ahead and take the... Oh, do you want to close? You want us to vote? Yes, I bet.
I just personally thank the family for coming out to testify with that. Respectfully ask for aye vote.
Thank you.
Bonilla?
Aye.
Bonilla, aye. Grove? Grove, aye. Calderon? Lopez? Lopez, aye. Mainstein? Stone? Stone, aye. Thurman? The bill is out 4-0.
The bill is out 4-0, and the other members will be able to add on. Thank you. All right. Next, we have Mr. Ridley Thomas with AB 2005.
Do you want to do the consent?
Yes, we can vote on the consent calendar. We'll take a motion. Oh, all right. We have a motion, and Ms. Grove will second the consent calendar.
Bonilla?
Aye.
Bonilla, aye. Grove? Aye. Grove, aye. Calderon? Lopez? Lopez, aye. Mainstein? Stone? Stone, aye. Thurman? Consent's out.
Okay, consent is also out. Mr. Ridley Thomas, welcome.
Thank you, Madam Chair and colleagues. I'd like to present AB 2500, which will prohibit a court from placing a juvenile in out-of-state juvenile home, ranch camp, or forestry camp unless certain conditions apply, such as the placement of out-of-state is necessary to protect the health and safety of the juvenile. We have witnesses who have pretty unique insights into the challenges of the practice, and in the interest of timeliness, I'll, with the indulgence of the chair, allow them to present.
Absolutely. Welcome.
Thank you. My name is Pamela Price. I'm the Director of Special Projects for the San Francisco Lawyers Committee for Civil Rights. My office has been honored to represent a family for the last 6 months, the Rivas family, involving a minor out of San Francisco Juvenile Hall. And what we have observed, and through my work with in liaison with the various youth organizations that are very active in the San Francisco Bay Area community addressing these issues, has been very disturbing with respect to how juveniles are being transported out of the state of California to foreign facilities. We became aware that juveniles are being sent to Pennsylvania, quite a few from San Francisco County. They're being sent to facilities in Denver, Colorado. What you have is children who are being shackled and taken on commercial airlines and delivered to these facilities. What you have is the probation department making these recommendations essentially without the input of the family or of community organizations or partners who may in fact have alternative facilities and alternative services available for the youth in the community where they can in fact have access to their families. Obviously, family reunification is one of the major goals of the juvenile justice system, particularly regardless of whether a child is delinquent or not. And that major goal is completely undermined when you start shipping kids to out-of-state facilities. It just doesn't work. In the case that brings us here today, and I'm here with my client, Michael Rivas, who is the uncle of the young man, and he will tell you from the family's perspective how this impacted them. But I can tell you from a legal perspective, we were concerned and remain concerned that the shipment of this young man to an out-of-state facility was not based on a determination that that facility could provide adequately for his needs. And that, unfortunately, that concern has been borne out. This is a young man with mental health issues that ultimately is now hospitalized in a psychiatric facility in Pennsylvania because the facility to which he was shipped under the authority of the juvenile court does not have the resources and is not able to provide for his needs. And so we have a limbo situation now because the court doesn't want to bring him back, but the facility doesn't have the ability to treat him. So this happens, and it's happening now on the ground, not only in San Francisco, but around the state. And it's happening without effective oversight by the juvenile court. And so I like to say that this legislature took a big step when it enacted and amended Welfare and Institution Code Section 737 that requires the juvenile courts to have a hearing every 15 days when you have children being held on an extended basis in the juvenile hall. That provision is essentially being overridden, and it pushes probation to make a recommendation that these children be placed out of state. So it is a big problem. The young man that we represent had 4 misdemeanors, so he was not a violent kid. He did not have. He's only 16, and he was deemed unsuitable to be placed in a boys' ranch home, but somehow he was deemed suitable to be shackled and taken cross country and committed to a boys' home in Pennsylvania.
Okay, thank you. Yes, next witness.
Say your name.
Hello, everyone. My name is Michael Rivas, and I'm the uncle of Wilhelm Rivas Jr., my nephew, my brother's son. So Wilhelm Rivas Jr. He's my nephew. I grew up with him. I was there the first day he was born. So we have an extensive relationship. He's not only my nephew, but he's almost like my son. I helped raise him, and everything that's happened with him, it's been very disturbing, because me, my brother, and my mom, his grandma, we all grew up together, and we were very close. But my brother and my nephew's mom separated at an early age, so that took an effect on him. And I would get to see him after that on the weekends. So he had a couple of encounters with the law, and while he was with his mom, and we didn't get a lot of information. The relationship, wasn't the best, wasn't the smoothest. He was diagnosed ADHD at an early age, 6 or 7 years old, and since then he wasn't given the proper resources to help with his ADHD and mental illness problems. So he was first arrested when he was about 13 years old, but the last time he was arrested in September, he was discharged, found innocent, and transported back to San Mateo County. There he spent 3 months of therapeutic detention. Then my brother had moved out in that course of the time to Alameda County, came back to San Francisco, asked for his son back, so they shipped him back to San Francisco County Juvenile Hall. And there, the judge sent a social worker to my brother's home. So me, my mom, and my brother, and we all met together with the social worker. And she interviewed us and everything. We spent a good 4 hours, giving her our plans and basically telling her, our situation, our family relationship. Well, the judge found that my nephew was unsuitable to be with my brother, so she said that he needed to be placed at a home for better management. So then we spent about 5 months, 6 months. The probation department spent about 6 months looking for a group home. Well, a lot of group homes said no to him based on his needs. So we hired a private attorney who helped us. He has extensive experience in those matters. So a lot of programs we were just denying him.
Right.
So just
ask you to
okay. Just a couple of months ago, they said we found a program in Pennsylvania, and but the program doesn't offer all the services that he needs, and they shipped him anyways. They found him to be in need of a group home far away from home. And he's receiving family therapy over the phone, but it's really not family therapy. And just the structure there, it's not meant to rehabilitate him. It's more it's more geared to keep him incarcerated, but just in a form of home. Right. He's not receiving his IEP education. They're not meeting all his needs. They're not communicating with us closely. So he ended up being transported to a psychiatric hospital where he's been for about 2 weeks. Probation department has said that they don't want him to ever go back to his house. So they feel that we don't know what to do, and we'd like your help.
Thank you. Thank you for the testimony. Others in support? Anyone speaking in opposition today?
I'm Mad Velez with Communities United for Restorative Youth Justice in Oakland in support, and we're also co-sponsoring the bill.
Okay, thank you. Not seeing anyone else in support or opposition. Any questions at the committee? I have a question of the attorney. You mentioned that the 15-day report somehow played into this push of out-of-state placement. Could you just explain why something that's supposed to be good, I'm assuming, which is letting the family know every 15 days what's going on, why would that push an out-of-state placement?
I think it became it's, as you may know, in the juvenile courts on a regular basis, the judges change. So in this situation, we had a new judge. They were doing the 15 days because this young man was actually detained in juvenile hall for almost 2 years on 4 misdemeanors. And probation kept coming back, refusing to release him to the family, not able to find a placement, and so the 15-day requirement was triggered. But the judges got frustrated with it. And so we, in January, found ourselves in front of a judge who was not wanting to be bound by that. And so when probation said, well, we can send him to Pennsylvania. And
it was seen as a solution.
Right. She actually at one point suspended the 15 days. She wouldn't do the 15-day hearing. And then when they said, we're going to send him to Pennsylvania, she said, okay, fine, great. Let's just get him out of here. And in fact, there are two boys' homes in Pennsylvania that have apparently been used for kids from California. One of them, a place called George Jr., is fairly well respected and provides inpatient and is certified to provide residential mental health services. The other one, Summit Academy, is not certified. And unfortunately, this young man was the first child from San Francisco County to ever be placed there. And he had been rejected by George Jr., but this other place was willing to take him, and the judge went along with it.
Interesting.
Yeah.
All right. Mr. Thurman.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I wanted to thank the author for this bill and also thank Ms. Price, who we know from our district and her work on behalf of young people. We've spent a lot of time working in some of our camps in Alameda County and other places, and we know that the numbers are lower than they've been. And I say that to say that we see very little justification to sending young people out of state, sending them away from their families, sending them away from the folks who may be able to support their rehabilitation and their opportunity to get back on the right track. And we want to thank you for looking out for these young people in the state. And with that, I'd move the bill, Madam Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Grove.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I'm glad the Chair established that you were an attorney. I didn't catch that in the beginning, and you're very intelligent in your testimony. So I was like, wow, she has a law degree or something. And I just messed up my phone. I'm just curious because in our analysis, it references a Welfare Institutions Code 727.1. And so it doesn't have a description there. So I looked it up, and it says that it's the discretion regarding choice of placement shall be based upon the selection of a safe setting that is the least restrictive, most family-like, and most appropriate setting that is available in close proximity to the parent's home. Where do you live, sir?
San Francisco.
Okay. Consistent with the selection of, an environment best suited for the needs of the minor and in the minor's best interest. So how come that couldn't be used to keep that child here? I'm just asking if that was, I'm not trying to be condescending. I'm just asking if it's already in law. It's just crazy that this kid is in Pennsylvania or wherever he's at.
If you don't mind, the way that we structured this particular proposal was to say it is prohibited unless, rather than it is a discretion based on these criteria. So unless you can prove health and safety, which is a standard in this particular portion of the code, then they don't automatically go. I think that a part of what the issue is, and I would add in addition, the reduction of our juvenile population in the Department of Corrections and Rehabilitation has put more pressure on juvenile courts and the county probation systems, and this may be, unfortunately, a practice that they're employing to relieve their caseload by sending kids out of state. And if somebody has to go to Pennsylvania under the existing code that you just read, with all the resources across the state that are available, and even in Los Angeles County where we have caseload issues, but we have enough beds to deal with the forensic juvenile population, particularly if we think of ourselves as being in the business of rehabilitation. So this takes a different approach to it's the same issue, but it takes a different approach. It says it is prohibited unless health and safety are aided by sending a juvenile out of state. Because I was concerned that we were going to handcuff the administrators of the system by saying, no, you can't send them anyway. But we want to make sure that this practice is only if the child's interests are advanced and the interests of justice are advanced. And the goal, remember, minors, we assume rehabilitation for minors in save in very, very specific type of cases. So that's why it's essentially, it's really the same thing, but we need to educate the judiciary, we need to get probation a parent, and we need to make sure that they know that the legislature is paying attention, and we don't want to see kids being warehoused out of state for long periods of time.
No, I completely agree. I couldn't, when I was listening to the testimony, I thought, how come this kid is out of state when we have this code section already in place? That I guess was my question, is why is this kid in Pennsylvania when his parents, his family, and it's supposed to be in close proximity. I don't know what whoever's determining close proximity, but San Francisco and Pennsylvania are not close proximity, in my opinion.
No, subjective.
You know, so I was just
someone
curious.
who grew up there. I'll tell you, it is not in close proximity.
And to answer directly, I think it became a matter of probation decided that they wanted to send this kid out of state, and the court went along with it. And
justification made it up.
Right.
But, I mean, I just, like I said, I don't see, I mean, you have 6-7 criteria that you have to meet here, and it doesn't sound like any of the criteria was met, so I was just curious of how it happened already.
Yeah.
Anyways, but thank you.
Thank you. Would you like to close?
I think the dialogue has been sufficient for closing. We respectfully request a aye vote.
Thank you
for the indulgence of the conversation.
Absolutely, and I believe Mr. Thurman moved the bill. It was a due pass to the assembly floor, and did we have a second?
Yes.
Yes. All right.
Thank you, Mrs.
We'll take roll.
Thank you, Mr. Thurman.
Bonilla.
Aye.
Bonilla, aye. Grove. Grove, aye. Calderon. Lopez. Lopez, aye. Mainshine. Stone. Stone, aye. Thurmond. Thurmond, aye. Bill is out.
Thank you. The bill is
5-0.
Yeah, 5-0. Thank you, Mr. Chavez. Thank you for joining us. Yeah. Well, I think that's why they have an attorney.